session, led by Dean Heather DiPiero, our Chief Marshal, has entered the theater. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Touro University Jacob T. Fuchsberg Law Center class of 2025. The graduates are being led into the hall by faculty marshals, Professor Suzanne Darrow Kleinhaus, Professor Jorge Roy, Professor Laura Dooley, Professor Sonata McQuillan, Associate Dean and Professor Tiffany Graham, Professor Peter Zablotsky, Professor Rena Seplowitz. They're still coming. Keep the applauding going. Let's go. Come on. members of the Law Center faculty and administration, Touro University Administration, Touro Law Center Board of Governors, and distinguished guests led by Professor of Law Harold Abramson. You can feel free to applaud for the faculty as well. Fuchsberg Law Center, Dr. Patricia Salkin, Touro University's Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs and Provost of the Graduate and Professional Divisions and former Law School Dean, Commencement Speaker, Associate Justice of the Appellate Division, Second Department, New York State Supreme Court, the Honorable Cheryl Chambers. With your permission, the 43rd Annual Commencement Exercises of the Touro University Jacob D. Fuchsberg Law Center on this 22nd day of May 2025 are now declared open. Ladies and gentlemen, this coming Monday is Memorial Day. Please take some time from the joy and celebration of this graduation season to honor the members of our military who gave their lives in defense of our freedoms, and to offer your thoughts and prayers for the safe return of the men and women of our armed forces currently serving in harm's way around the globe. Please, everyone rise, all rise for the national anthem of the United States of America. Please remain standing. Sorry, I didn't get you quickly enough. Please remain standing for the invocation, which will be delivered by Rabbi Baruch Fogel, our campus rabbi.
Ribono Shel Olam, Master of the world, bless all those who have assembled here today to rejoice in the commencement exercises of Touro University Jacob D. Fuchsberg's Law Center, class of 2025. Shofet Kol Haaretz, divine judge, you've instructed humanity to embrace truth, protect the vulnerable, and to ensure that righteousness and justice are pursued. Before you stand our graduates, women and men who stand at the dawn of their chosen career to safeguard justice and truth as your agents. We pray to you that they should exemplify the noble aspiration of their profession. Grant them divine guidance to help them help others. Let them offer fairness, integrity, and civility to their opposing parties and their counsel. To the bench, let them offer respect, truthfulness, and courtesy. And to the bar, let them strive for the highest level of professionalism, imbued with integrity, honesty, and in the spirit of public service. Dear God, may you indeed give strength and courage to our graduates as they begin their careers. Bless them as they set out as your agents to diligently and compassionately help all those who are in need of their assistance. And we ask that you bless them, that the lofty goals, dreams, and hopes that they have in their hearts as they stand here today stay with them always. At this momentous occasion, we pray to you, dear God, and we ask that you shower your blessings upon the families of our students, parents, spouses, children, mentors, and other dear ones who have been there for support and encouragement, who have sacrificed so much so that our students can persevere and succeed. Dear God, as we gather here this afternoon, we ask for your continued divine guidance and blessing for this great citadel of learning, Touro's Law Center. Bless the dean, the administration, the faculty, and the staff. Grant them the wisdom, the resolve, and the fortitude to continue to educate, to inspire, and to lead. Help them in their dedication to educate and train the next generation of students who will improve our society, our country, and our world. On the occasion of the 43rd commencement exercises of the Touro Law School, we pray that the ideals that Touro University was founded upon, to provide an education to students who will then serve, strengthen, and improve the world, become a reality. And may each and every one of us have a part in that wonderful divine task of bettering our society, our country, and our world. Amen.
You may be seated. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Elena Langen, Dean of Touro University, Jacob D. Fuchsberg Law Center.
Good morning. Senior Vice President and Provost Dr. Patricia Salkin, Judge Chambers, members of Touro Law's Board of Governors, honored guests, alumni, faculty and staff, family and friends of our graduates, and most important of all, graduates, I welcome you to the May 2025 commencement ceremony for Touro University Jacob D. Fuchsberg Law Center. To the graduates, you are to be commended and applauded for your resiliency and commitment throughout your legal studies. You balance demanding coursework with meaningful extracurricular pursuits, excelling in moot court and trial advocacy competitions, publishing articles through the Touro Law Review and Journal of Race, Gender, and Ethnicity, organizing symposia, and contributing to the life of the law school through your leadership in student organizations. You also stepped far beyond the classroom. You served in the law school's clinics and as externs, applying your legal knowledge to real-world challenges. Most notably, together, you have provided over 25,000 hours of pro bono legal services to the underserved individuals in our communities. Nelson Mandela once said, "What counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived. It is what difference we have made to the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life we lead." You are entering a profession where now, more than ever, you have the ability to lead a life of significance. You will make a difference in the lives of others as you act as the voice for your clients. You have the opportunity and the profound responsibility to uphold the rule of law because you have been trained to use the power it holds to protect the rights of your clients, both wealthy and poor, influential and oppressed. Through the ethical exercise of the skills you now possess, you have the ability to positively impact not only your individual clients, but also the communities where you live. Use that power wisely and for good. Pursue your passion, whether it is as a litigator or as a transactional lawyer, in public or government service, in business, or in any other area of the law where your degree will be prepared to lead you. A word of caution about pursuing your passions, however. Do not let what you do, your profession, totally define who you are. Any job, and especially the practice of law, can become all-consuming. Don't let it. Care for your health, both body and mind. Cherish and prioritize your family. Stay connected to your friends. Make space for joy. Adopt a hobby, or get a dog, or even a cat. Find what you are passionate about outside of your job and pursue it with the same zeal you bring to your career. But as you pursue your passions, let integrity be your guide. If something feels wrong, if it's not something you would be proud to share with your grandmother, don't do it. That is your moral compass talking. Listen to it. Strive always to be ethical, but also be civil, compassionate, and professional. Take the knowledge you have gained, the skills you have honed, the values you have embraced, and use them to build a life of impact, purpose, and principle. You now are capable of great things, and we will continue to take pride in your future accomplishments. Thank you. It is now my honor to introduce the Senior Vice President, Academic Affairs, and Provost of the Graduate and Professional Divisions of Touro University, Dr. Patricia Salkin.
You guys look great. Dean Langen, Judge Chambers, members of the Law Center faculty, administration, Board of Governors, alumni, and distinguished guests. On behalf of Touro University President Dr. Alan Kadish and the rest of the Touro University academic leadership, congratulations to the class of 2025. President Kadish sends his warm regards and sincere regrets that he cannot be with us today, but as a large university, we have conflicting graduation ceremonies. But class of 2025, I have a confession to make. I'm actually really delighted and thrilled to be up here giving the greetings and good wishes instead of the president, because as many of you know, we share a special bond. My career at Touro started at the Touro Law Center, and it's still here that I feel at home, spending time with many of you both inside and outside of the classroom. We share a love of the law and a passion that's just difficult to explain to non-lawyers. Do you remember when you were completing your law school applications and writing your personal statements? Some of you expressed an interest in practicing criminal law, family law, aging and longevity law, corporate business law, intellectual property law, and many other areas. Some of you were drawn to land use law, plug for that, or environmental law, con law, international law, health law, immigration law, veterans law. Again, the list goes on. But at the heart of your personal statements, there was a commonality. Each of you expressed a commitment and a desire to help people, to seek fairness and justice, and to be a voice to those who had none. Many of you envisioned yourselves as an agent for positive change, once armed with a law degree. So what are some lessons that new lawyers like you should reflect upon? The dean had some great advice. Here's my thoughts. First, as I tell my students all the time, if there were clear-cut answers to the world's problems and challenges, there'd be no need for lawyers. If the answer was there in front of you, then they don't need us. What we've learned through our legal education, among other things, is how to be creative problem solvers, how to help others navigate through difficult times and challenging situations while always doing the right thing for humanity. Second, your work is important. Lawyers play a critical role in forming public policy, protecting rights, and creating systems that work better for everyone. Whether you're working in courtrooms, classrooms, boardrooms, or legislative chambers, remember that you have the ability to make real change in the world. Never lose sight that it was the lawyers behind every major societal development playing a vital role in shaping the legal frameworks that hold it all together. As you prepare to enter the legal profession, remember that it has profoundly changed since the day you even started your studies. Lawyers and courts have adapted to working remotely. Technology has forever altered the practice of law, and the necessity for physical space and in-person interactions has evolved. The shift towards the digital legal process is now the new norm in the profession that once resisted this type of innovation. And now we're learning how to appropriately navigate with artificial intelligence tools. But you are here, May 22nd, 2025, and today you have earned a law degree. But remember, this ceremony confirming that you have completed your formal JD studies comes at a price, and I'm not talking about the cost of tuition and attendance. The price is the enormous responsibility of doing good for society, being a leader, protecting and indeed advancing the rule of law, and always working towards your goals through service to others with the highest degree of professionalism and ethical conduct. Touro Law Center has prepared you well through the classroom, clinical experiences, through externships, honor societies, and countless experiential opportunities. You've been equipped with the knowledge and the skills to champion the bar exam later this summer. Each one of you can be, as we say, one and done, with focus and complete dedication to the work over the next 9 weeks. Push everything else aside, family members, Make sure that they're doing nothing else. Don't draw on their time. You leave today with a robust set of skills to lead difficult conversations, to interpret and apply the law, and to develop and refine public policy. And that's why I'm confident that our tomorrow will be a whole lot brighter because of the work that each one of you will do. Class of 2025, you have inspired us all, and we eagerly await your admission to the bar. Congratulations to you all.
Thank you, Provost Salkin. It is a long-standing tradition that each graduating class selects a faculty member to make some remarks during these proceedings. The class of 2025 has selected Professor Quinn. Professor John Quinn is currently an assistant professor of legal process and co-faculty advisor for the Moot Court Honors Board of Advocates. An honors graduate of Harvard College and Harvard Law School, he also holds a PhD in English from Stony Brook University. He joined the faculty full-time in August 2023 after serving as an adjunct professor during the 22-23 academic year. And he has quickly become a beloved professor and mentor to our students. In his legal career, Professor Quinn served as long-term career law clerk to the Honorable Raymond J. Deary of the United States District Court of the Eastern District of New York. That appointment followed more than a decade in the active practice of criminal and civil law that spanned big law, a boutique firm, and a thriving solo practice. Currently, Professor Quinn holds an appointment to the Criminal Justice Act panel for the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, where he serves as court-appointed appellate counsel to indigent defendants. He is also the 2024 recipient of the Honorable George C. Pratt Alumni Award in Appellate Advocacy from Touro Law Center's Moot Court Honors Board of Advocates. Please join me in welcoming Professor Quinn to the podium.
Good afternoon, honored guests. Dean Langen, thank you so much. Faculty, family, friends, and most especially our graduates, the very talented and accomplished Touro Law class of 2025. I'm just so blessed to have these few minutes with you. As you know, if you did the math, you are, and so will always be, my very first Touro students. You could say we came up together. I mean, for most of you, literally, your first day here was also mine. So my heart is quite full today as I see you now in your regalia, about to be hooded as doctors of law. I get goosebumps as I say it. Even though you are leaving us, a part of you will always stay with me. You have left an indelible mark in here that the passage of time will never undo. I had a preview of today, of the success stories you would all become near the end of your first year on what we call Oral Argument Day, that great 1L rite of passage. It's what we all remember most about law school, that and the bar exam. It's also what I will absolutely miss most about teaching LP, because on Oral Argument Day, I get to witness you emerge from your cocoons. You step out from being students trapped behind desks into real lawyers, flexing your new legal skills. Even those of you who come to me the night before, and there's several every year, who say, Professor, I don't care if I get a 0, I just can't do it. Then you headed out of the park the next day. And that's only one of the many, many ordinary but quite magical days at the Touro Law Center. I say magic, but of course there is no wand, for the magic lies inside each of you. Your efforts, and more importantly, your vision of who you could become. Sheer hard work and pushing past our limits like that has been written of poetically as life's primal energies working through us, and proof that you know of life's deep meanings and secrets. And while this is true, at Touro, we just call this grit. And grit is what Touro graduates are most known for, as you are now the newest proof. And it's also what will get every single one of you through that bar exam. I don't exaggerate when I speak of magic. It is that something in the air at Touro. It's this intense kind of, we're all in this together, there's no boundary, we all know each other, there's no filter, closeness that makes the word community always feel inadequate. So now you're ready to leave this magic, and at least I feel like we've been 12B6'd, that it's ending too soon. Maybe not for all of you, but for me. But of course, we know that every ending is a new beginning, and it's of course why we call today commencement. And so, as you begin your next chapter, I offer just these few words. And it's just 5 if you're counting or watching the clock. First, the magic absolutely does not end today. It is that same magic that will connect you as alumni and that will call you back as alumni. It's another great fruit of your Touro education. Second, one piece of career advice, part of every graduation speech. Knock vigorously on many doors and know that often it's another door that will in fact open. Some call this synchronicity, energy in the quantum field, or even the hand of God. My point, always take action. Don't be idle, but allow life to surprise you. Themes and storylines are playing out in your lives that you cannot see in live time. Quick example, 25 years ago, with nary a thought of my future at Touro on the radar, a Manhattan lawyer telephoned me in my solo appellate office and asked me to handle his appeal. I took it, the case lasted 7 years, we won, we settled. Went on with our lives. That lawyer was Alan Fuchsberg, son of. Again, life's patterns often only make sense in hindsight, which means you need some trust. Third, as I now am known for telling my LP students, the 2 most important words on anything you write are your name. Your signature is your voice and your perspective, and they are more important now in the age of AI than ever. Your name on a pleading or a brief or discovery response or client letter says to every reader of it, this is how I see it, and I stand by it. We know 9 justices can read the same words and disagree about their meaning, and I'm going to suggest to you that is not a bad thing. It shows that the law is an endless treasure with great energy. Always room for a fresh point of view, always a new argument. So I urge you, tap into that energy and call it and say it as you see it. Even the infamous Rule 11 invites exactly that, to argue for the making of new law. Fourth, only one more to go. Actually, on this point, which I think is the required part of every graduation speech, the to thine own self be true message, indulge my one brief shout out to the Erie Doctrine. We either love it or hate it or both. Wherever you go, court, your workplace, your adversary's firm, be a good guest and follow the local rules. But always, always stay true to yourself on matters of substance, on what counts. Fourth, as Dean Langan has already said, take care of yourself and one another. Unlike a craftsperson with hand tools, you are your instrument, and so you will need great care, self-care, because our profession is an extraordinarily demanding one. And while you pursue career success, You also want a healthy and happy life, and I will second Dean Langen's suggestion. Canine companionship can go a long way. As to care for others, I've already spoken of the community. Quickly, I say again, nourish and build upon it as alumni. You will need these colleagues. And since I've already brought up Erie, you're going to indulge a second Civ Pro plug, this time for the friendly joinder rules. Claims and litigants can get lonesome. So can hardworking lawyers, especially fresh graduates taking their very first steps. Fifth and finally, as you know, I believe very deeply in the power of the mind. As Proverbs teaches, be very careful what you think, because your thoughts do run your life. So, when setbacks and low moments come, it is then that you should reach for the very highest of thoughts. So the one I'll offer today is simply this. Remember what you are made of. And I'll submit it's much more than you think. Genesis says we are made in the likeness and image of our Creator. And for me, this has always meant we each have the capacity within us to create and recreate ourselves. In secular terms, we know from astrophysics, or I've read it, you might know, that we are, quote, star stuff. Our bodies are literally made of the elements released by stars that exploded during the Big Bang. So again, when tough times come and you are low, remember what you're made of. To wrap up, I was already here as an adjunct when I applied to join the full-time faculty, so naturally I was asked this question in my interview. I won't name names, but the questioner will remember it. So, Mr. Quinn, what do you think of our students? My answer then, they have restored my faith in their generation. I say a version of this to myself every day as I walk into the Law Center. And I say it to you again today. And so, go now into a world in desperate need of more faith. Shine that magical inner light. Be the very best evidence of yourself with your promise and your goodness. To each member of the class of 2025, I say farewell.
Okay, that's a hard act to follow. Thank you, Professor Quinn. Now we know why he was selected as the class professor. Our valedictorians for the full-time division is Alexa D. Sonde, and the co-valedictorians for the part-time division are Raquel K. Gianetti and Brittany Elizabeth Harms. Our salutatorian for the full-time division is Yelena Ishakova. And the salutatorian for the part-time division is Sarah R. Smith. I would request that they join me on stage. We will now have an opportunity to hear from our valedictorians. First, Ms. Sande.
Good afternoon, honored guests, faculty, friends, and fellow graduates. First and foremost, congratulations to us, the class of 2025. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. It is my honor and great privilege to address you all here today. Today's celebration is not only about the graduating class, but it's also a celebration for those who supported us throughout this long journey. It has not always been easy for our friends and families. I know I have not been the kindest during finals when sleep deprived and trying to understand the rules of perpetuities or the Erie Doctrine. So, if you survived dealing with a sleep-deprived law student during finals, you deserve some sort of compensation. Maybe even punitive damages. On that note, I would like to thank my family, my parents, Kelly Dispost and Daniel Sondy, for supporting me through every step of this journey. When I was told I had to write a speech, to gather inspiration, I did what many law students do before they go to law school. I watched Legally Blonde. Now, family members, law professors, or anyone here who's not a 25-year-old girl, you may not see Legally Blonde as a profound legal movie when movies like 12 Angry Men exist. However, you may not see in Elle what I saw and what many of my fellow graduates see. I saw something real. I saw us, Touro Law Center students. Elle struggled at first, like many of us did adjusting to law school. She sits through her first class and gets cold called and is entirely unprepared. I know we can all relate to the anxiety that comes with the question, Miss Sondy, what is the holding in Plasgraf versus Long Island Railroad? We see Elle constantly being told she's not serious enough to be a lawyer. We have all had moments of self-doubt and imposter syndrome. Even when things felt impossible, Elle continued to have faith in herself. And so did we. All of us sitting here today are like Elle. We had faith in ourselves. We took a leap of faith when taking the LSATs, when applying to law school and accepting an offer to come to Touro. In spite of self-doubt, anxiety, and imposter syndrome, we all proved that we can do hard things. Law school was not easy. At times, it felt impossible. But we went to class every day. We did the readings, made the outlines, and endured long final exams. We worked very hard and all earned our spot here today at graduation. We are here today not only because of our hard work, but because of our family members, friends, and law school professors who all had faith in us. But most importantly, we had faith in ourselves that we could do it. By the end of Legally Blonde, Elle proves herself, just like we all did here today. She transformed from a scared 1L to a confident law school graduate who's ready to take on whatever comes next. In our own way, we all made this transformation. If you told me 3 years ago today that I would be standing here in front of all of you, I would not believe you. To my fellow law school graduates, you should be so proud of yourselves and all that you have accomplished in these last 3 years. Every challenge, every cold call, and every late night was all worth it. Touro Law Center has done more than just teach us the black letter law. The Law Center transformed us from people with a goal into almost new members of the legal profession. For many of us, the next big challenge is around the corner, the bar exam. This is the first chance we get to prove ourselves to the legal community that we are capable of achieving anything we commit to. So, as you take your next steps into the world, have faith in yourselves. Trust the hard work, the long nights, and the training we received at Touro Law Center has prepared us. We can do anything because Touro Law students can do anything. Before I bid you farewell, I want to end with a quote from Elle Wood's commencement speech. It is with passion, courage of conviction, and a strong sense of self that we take our next steps into the world, remembering that first impressions are not always correct. You must always have faith in people, and most importantly, you must have faith in yourselves. Congratulations, class of 2025. We did it.
Thank you, Alexa. We will now hear from the co-valedictorian for the part-time division, Ms. Gianetti.
Faculty, family, friends, my beautiful daughter Gigi, and most importantly, my fellow graduates of the class of 2025. To my fellow Flex Time students, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be myself, your encouragement, your friendship. I adore you all. It's an incredible honor to stand before you today. To be honest, I did not want to speak at graduation. I never enjoyed the spotlight. But if I'm going to speak, then I wanted to say something to you that stays with you, not just for today, but hopefully for the moments when life gets hard. We've all struggled with doubt. We've all walked through fear. We've all stood in the shadow of uncertainty. And when you face future struggles, and trust me, you will, ask yourself, what is life trying to teach me? How can this experience shape me? Because the hard things don't come to defeat you. They come to build you, to refine you, to launch you into the next chapter of your journey. I'm proud to say that I faced tremendous adversity. At 16, I had no place to call home. I worked multiple jobs just to survive. I was so poor, I ate macaroni and cheese for years. At one point, I was pretty sure I was 80% powdered cheese. But seriously, I couldn't control how my story started, but I was determined to control how it would end. Know that it is possible to rise through any challenge, and when you rise, own your story. Every scar, every misstep, every so-called flaw. They're not marks of shame. They're evidence that you've endured, you overcame. They're what makes you exceptional. And you will be in good company. Some of the most inspiring figures in history faced tremendous hardships. Bryan Stevenson, Frederick Douglass, Nelson Mandela, the list goes on and on. They didn't let circumstances define them. They redefined what was possible. Like them, we do not need permission to change our circumstances. We need courage. So push forward, move through the obstacles, not around them. Because here's the truth. The only thing that can truly stop you is you. So here's to the scars that shaped us, the courage that carried us, and the stories we've yet to write. Congratulations, class of 2025. Remember, no matter how your story started, you can rewrite your ending.
Thank you, Raquel. And now we will hear from our final our co-valedictorian, Ms. Harms.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an incredible honor to stand before you today as a valedictorian of Touro Law School's part-time program. If you had told me back on day one, when I was nervously staring at a Zoom screen waiting for Torch to start, that I'd be giving this speech today, I probably would not have believed you. Not because I didn't have the drive, but because I hadn't yet realized how much this journey would ask of me and of all of us. Like many of you, I didn't enter law school straight out of undergrad with just a backpack and a dream. I came in with responsibilities, full-time work, family obligations, and a to-do list that never quite ended. And then, just to keep things interesting, I started law school in 2020 during a global pandemic. My first year and a half of law school happened entirely online. I learned torts from my kitchen table, legal writing from my living room, and took cold calls while pretending I couldn't turn my microphone on, when in reality, I just needed a little more time to find the answer in my case brief. Eventually, we made it to campus, but that didn't mean life slowed down. In my third year, I thought it was a great time to have a baby and ended up taking a semester off. When I returned, I was attending lectures with my son constantly on my mind and sneaking glances at the baby monitor whenever I could. My nights were spent reading case law with one hand and holding a bottle in the other. That kind of multitasking is something my fellow parent students here know all too well, and it's nothing short of superhuman. And yet, no matter what phase of the journey I was in, remote, in-person, pregnant, postpartum, there was one constant: anxiety. From the moment I was called on for that very first case on day one of civil procedure, anxiety became part of my law school routine. It showed up during cold calls, oral arguments, exams, and those late nights wondering if I was doing enough and what else I had to do before the next class. At first, I saw it as a weakness, but very quickly I came to realize anxiety didn't hold me back. It pushed me forward. It made me read more closely, prepare more thoroughly, and strive to be better. Anxiety became my fuel. It sharpened me. It reminded me that I wasn't here just to finish law school. I was here to excel, to grow, to prove, most of all to myself, that I belong in this profession. So if you're someone who wrestled with anxiety like I did, don't hide from it. Use it. Let it drive you, not derail you. Because that feeling in your chest before a cold call is what got us here today to graduation. Every one of us in the part-time program has a story. Some of you studied before the sun came up and during your lunch break. Many of you tucked your kids into bed before opening your books night after night. You balanced briefs with bills, lectures with life, and somehow you kept showing up. What makes this moment so powerful isn't just that we earned a law degree. It's that we did it while carrying so much else. We balanced families and jobs with the demands of law school, yet still came out the other side. Touro didn't just teach us about contracts or criminal procedure. It taught us discipline, resilience, and the power of community. We leaned on our professors, partners, group chats, late-night texts, and people who believed in us even when we weren't sure we believed in ourselves. So to the full-time workers, the caretakers, the parents, the anxious overthinkers, and the quiet fighters, this moment belongs to you. We didn't take the easy road, we took the meaningful one, and we walked it with courage and determination. To our professors, families, and friends, thank you for lifting us up. To my fellow graduates, thank you for your solidarity, your humor, your caffeine recommendations, and your friendships. We didn't just survive law school, we conquered it. Congratulations, class of 2025, we made it.
Thank you, Brittany. Will Joshua R. Stickle please join me on the stage? Each year, the graduating students choose one of their own to be the recipient of the Ronnie D. Cohen Class Orator Award to address the graduates, faculty, and guests. This year's class orator is Joshua R. Stickle.
Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, faculty, staff, families, friends, and the class of 2025. Thank you for the honor of being your class orator. I don't take this lightly, mostly because I spent the last 3 years writing thousands of words for people who didn't actually read them, and now finally, I have a captive audience. So thank you again. There's this idea people have about going to law school, that it shapes you, challenges you, transforms you into a more refined, confident version of yourself. And that's one interpretation, but most of us didn't just go here. We grew here, and not in the kind of way that's easy to summarize. We grew when things were messy, when we were overwhelmed, uncertain, or completely over it, but kept showing up anyway. We grew in the moments no one was grading and no one was watching. We learned how to pivot, how to recover, how to keep going on a random Tuesday when no one was cheering us on. We figured out how to carry ourselves in uncomfortable situations without making ourselves smaller. We didn't just learn how to answer questions, we learned when to speak, when to listen, and how to let someone else be wrong in peace. And we did all that without sighing or rolling our eyes out loud. But I think we should applaud ourselves for that, so give it up. Yeah. We grew in grit, in clarity, in grace. And when I say grace, I don't mean elegance. I mean the ability to move through hard things without letting them harden you, to not turn cold just because things got heavy, to keep showing up with your full self even when it would have been easier to shut down. For me, that meant holding it together through long hours of brief writing and trial prep, over 200 hours in just 10 weeks, to win asylum for a clinic client during trial. And when that trial ended, it meant shifting immediately into bar prep while grieving a personal loss, carrying heartbreak and self-doubt and burnout while trying to convince myself I was ready for the bar exam. And to be 1,000% honest with you, there were absolutely moments I wasn't sure I could do it, but I kept going. And because I kept going, I helped someone win the right to remain safely in this country. And I have to shout out fellow graduate Michael O'Connor and director Noronha. Hi. And not to mention, I did pass the February 2025 bar exam. Thank you. Shout out to my fellow pro bono scholars. We all passed. I'm so proud of us. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. That growth, that quiet personal shift most people will never see, that's the whole point. Because it means we're no longer practicing, we're not preparing, we're here. Now begins the part where we get to decide what happens next. We don't represent potential anymore. We represent presence, undeniable, unforced, and entirely our own. Which is great, because shows potential looks terrible on a resume, I think. We're not waiting to be chosen, we are choosing ourselves. We didn't get here because someone told us we were ready. We got here because we kept going, through uncertainty, through pressure, through moments that didn't come with instructions. We had to lead ourselves before anyone asked us to lead others. We had to trust our own voice when no one was echoing it back. And now, we don't need permission. We move forward not for recognition, but because we know exactly what we're capable of. We know how to read the room, we know how to hold the room, and most importantly, when the room isn't worth holding, we know how to leave. We are what comes next. So no, this isn't the start of something. This is just the part where we stop pretending we're not already in it. With clarity, with edge, with grace, not as elegance, but as resilience, we are what comes next. Now, before I close, I know many of us, if not most of us, are first-generation college and law school graduates, and will be the first lawyers in our families. So, round of applause if that's an amazing feat. Congrats to us all. So I hope you'll indulge me as I take a moment to thank my parents in the audience in Spanish. Ooh, okay. As Hispanics make up only 6% of all attorneys in the United States, this is a big deal for me and my family. Okay, hi. Mamji, Oscarinho, los quiero mucho. Gracias por todo el apoyo que me han dado durante mi vida. No sé cuánto tiempo me va a tomar, pero les prometo que me voy a poner las pilas para tratar de devolverles todo. Todo lo que soy, lo soy por ustedes. And for the non-Spanish speakers out there, to translate, I said, I've got a carburetor outside I just got to do some work on, so just kidding. What I really said was, Mom and Dad, I love you very much. Thank you for all the support you've given me throughout my life. I don't know how long it'll take me to pay you back, but I promise to work hard. Everything I am because of you. Thank you all again. Remember, you've already passed the bar. You're just waiting to take it. And congrats, we did our big ones. Thank you. Thank you.
We would like to honor all of the graduates who are receiving awards for their academic achievement, service to the law school, and service to the legal profession, the public, and the community. Listed in your programs are names of all those graduates who received their awards last evening. At this time, I would like to invite all of the award recipients to stand at their seats so they may be recognized. Stand up. We are honored to welcome Touro Law Center's 2025 commencement speaker, Associate Justice of the Appellate Division, 2nd Department, New York State Supreme Court, the Honorable Cheryl Chambers. Justice Chambers is a distinguished jurist and leader in New York's legal community, with a judicial career spanning more than 3 decades. Her tenure on the bench has been marked by historic milestones, including her 2008 appointment by Governor Eliot Spitzer as only the 2nd woman of color to serve on any appellate division in New York since its founding in 1894. In 2006, Governor Andrew Cuomo appointed her to a constitutional seat on the Appellate Division's 2nd Judicial Department, where she became the first African-American woman to hold a senior position. Justice Chambers' judicial career included both hearing cases in the civil and complex high-profile criminal cases. It has included service on New York City Civil Court and the New York State Supreme Court in Kings County. Before joining the bench, Justice Chambers had a formidable public service career as a prosecutor with the Kings County District Attorney's Office. She rose through the ranks to become Deputy Chief of the Trial Division and later Chief of the Domestic Violence Bureau, the first African American in the office's history to lead a bureau. Justice Chambers, on the Chief Judge's Statewide Advisory Committee on Alternative Dispute Resolution, and advises the Appellate Division's 2nd Department's mediation program where she has served. She is also president and director of the New York Bar Foundation. Her professional affiliations include leadership positions with the Metropolitan Black Bar Association, the Brooklyn Women's Bar Association, the Judicial Friends, and the Association of Supreme Court Justices of the City of New York. A dedicated mentor, she has supported generations of aspiring attorneys through her work with the New York County Lawyers Association's Committee on Minorities and the Law. Justice Chambers' exemplary service has earned her numerous accolades, including the inaugural Ruth Bader Ginsburg Beacon Award with the New York State Bar Association Committee on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, the award for Outstanding Achievement in Jurisprudence from the Brooklyn Bar Association, the Golda Meir Memorial Award from the Jewish Lawyers Guild, the Distinguished Jurist of the Year Award from the Metropolitan Black Bar Association, and the Life Achievement Award from the New York Bar Foundation. Please join me in welcoming Justice Chambers to the podium.
Good afternoon. I want to wake you up. Dean Langen, Senior Vice President, Provost Salkin, esteemed faculty, honored guests, proud family members, and most importantly, the class of 2025. It is an honor to stand before you today to celebrate this milestone occasion. Let me just take it all in. You all look so distinguished in your caps and gowns. This day marks not just a personal achievement, but a shared triumphant that belongs to each of you and to all of those who have supported you on this remarkable journey. Thank you, Dean Langen, for your kind introduction and for your outstanding stewardship of the Touro Law Center. I also wish to acknowledge Professor Quinn, your class orator Joshua, valedictorians Alexa, Raquel, and Brittany, and also your salutatorians Yelena and Sarah. I have to admit to you, it is no small task to follow such exceptional speakers, but I'll try to be relevant and brief. But above all, I'm here to honor you, the class of 2025. As I watched you process into this hall, I found myself deeply moved. Your perseverance, your determination, and your commitment have brought you to this moment. You mastered contracts, personal jurisdiction, and res judicata. Today is not only a celebration of your hard work, but also a reflection of the values and aspirations that have guided you to the threshold of our profession. In many ways today, this ceremony is meaningful to me personally. I did not attend my own law school commencement, and being here fills that space in my heart. It is especially fitting for me to do so at Touro, an institution devoted to pairing ethical, compassionate, and community-minded legal professionals. Your mission is deeply aligned with my own. Let me start by sharing a personal story with you. When I attended Boston University School of Law at the age of 20, it was my first time living away from home. I arrived in Boston with a strong desire to pursue justice, but without a clear understanding of what law school would demand. The case readings, the Socratic method, the constant pressure, I was overwhelmed. Things began to shift for me during my moot court competition. Like many of you, I spent weeks researching, writing, and practicing. Standing before a panel of judges, I was both terrified and invigorated. That experience changed me. I was on my way. It taught me the value of meticulous preparation, the power of advocacy, and the strength found in collaborations with my teammates. And I won. The victory signaled to me that I had the potential to succeed. I share this story with you because not everyone graduates at the top of the class. Some of you may still harbor doubts about your path forward. I worried back then that I did not always ask professors for help. I worried that they would not understand or support me. And in those days, so many students of color and women often felt like outsiders. But let me say this to you clearly. Growth begins with challenge. Seeking guidance is not a weakness, but a strength. Your path will not always be linear, and your success will not be defined by perfection, but by persistence. Believe in yourself. You have already demonstrated your capacity for reaching this moment. Pursue your passions and your dreams and do what you enjoy. Most people are the happiest doing what they enjoy. Today I serve on the appellate division as an appellate division judge in the state of New York. While some may say that I'm at the top of my game, but I can assure you I was not at the top of my class. That distinction is not a prerequisite for success, excellence, or even happiness in the profession. I offer this reflection as encouragement to those who still feel uncertain. Continue to work hard. Trust your preparation. I encourage you all to hold steadfast to your dreams. Don't let setbacks or failures deter you. Touro law has given you the tools to triumph. Now it is up to your will, your mind, and your heart to drive forward. Your time is coming. Look around you. I wish you could see what I see. This graduating class represents a beautiful mosaic of cultures, faiths, backgrounds, and life experiences. Some of you are the first in your families to attend law school or even attend college. Others follow in the footsteps of relatives who are part of the Touro law tradition. Each of you brings a unique perspective shaped by resilience and sacrifice. Many of you have balanced jobs, family responsibilities, and financial burdens while pursuing this degree. And yet, you still found the time to serve others, offering pro bono assistance to those who need it most, and to communities that are often overlooked or undeserved. Coming from this wonderful institution, you have acquired not only legal knowledge, but also critical thinking and ethical reasoning that define the legal profession at its best. With your Touro law degree comes great power, and with it, great responsibilities as lawyers. And I urge you to take that responsibility seriously. You are now guardians of the rule of law. This is not a theoretical construct. It is the foundation of a just and democratic society. The rule of law ensures accountability, equality, and fairness. It guarantees that no one is above the law and that everyone is protected by it. As lawyers, you are charged with articulating, upholding, and protecting these principles, not just in the legal system, but in your communities, in your broader civic life. You will have the opportunity and the obligation to speak for those whose voices are too often ignored, or to advocate for fairness and to strengthen the integrity of our democratic institutions. In doing so, I urge you to remain deeply engaged with the world around you. We are living in a time of deep division, where partisanship too often eclipses dialogue, where truth is drowned out by noise. The proliferation of homogeneous information silos, intensified by social media and partisan media outlets, has promoted polarization and eroded mutual understanding. As graduates of Touro law, you have been trained to think critically and independently. Use those skills. Resist the temptation to retreat into ideological corners. Engage with those whose views differ from your own. Seek common ground. Reaffirm the values of civil discourse and democratic engagement. Lawyers play a critical role in this process, and that role has never been more important than now. With your talent, your energy, your passion, I have faith in the future. This is a big lift, and at times it may seem insurmountable. However, there are a few names to keep in mind: Oliver Wendell Holmes, Benjamin Cardozo, Thurgood Marshall, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and so many others. What we need to remember is when they did their most consequential work, they had no blueprint, but they created and executed strategies, and their work allows us to be where we are now. As you enter the profession, do so with integrity as your North Star. Whether you find yourself in a courtroom, a boardroom, a governmental agency, or a nonprofit organization, your ethical standards must remain high. A lawyer without ethics is like a smartphone without a charger. Sooner or later, you're going to run out of power. That principle has guided my own career, and I endeavor to shape every decision that I make from the bench with that in mind. In addition to my judicial service, I have the privilege of serving as the president of the New York Bar Foundation. The foundation supports civil legal aid organizations and funds scholarships and fellowships to advance access to justice. Its mission aligns with that of Touro law to empower communities, uplift lives, and promote fairness. I'm also deeply involved in bar associations. That's where I first had the pleasure of meeting Provost Salkin and Dean Langan. Sorry, I pronounced that incorrectly. Leaders who have inspired me with their service to the profession. I encourage each of you to join bar associations. They will enrich your careers, expand your networks, provide invaluable opportunities to give back. Seek out ways to mentor others, to support the next generations, and to contribute meaningfully to the legal community and the public good. Before I conclude, let us take a moment to honor those whose love and support helped make this day possible. Your parents, your grandparents, your spouses, your children, your friends. They have celebrated your highs and sustained you through your lows. Many of them made sacrifices, financial, emotional, and otherwise. So could you join me in offering them a sustained round of applause? In closing, I offer this final thought. You do not walk this path alone. Lean on your colleagues, friends, and family. Seek out mentors. Continue learning, growing, and striving. The future is in this generation's hands. Embrace it. And if ever you feel daunted about what lies ahead, simply remember, if you made it through your first year of law school, you can make it through anything. Congratulations, class of 2025. You have earned this moment. May you go forward with courage, integrity, and unwavering commitment to justice. May your careers be impactful, your lives fulfilling, and your contributions enduring. We are so proud of you. Thank you for allowing me to share in this celebration.
Thank you, Justice Chambers, for those inspiring words. Now we come to the central part of the ceremony, the presentation of graduates and the hooding ceremony as a symbol of degree conferral and passing on the responsibilities of the profession. Would Touro University Senior Vice President and Provost Dr. Patricia Salkin please join me at the podium? Will the December 2024 graduates please rise? Provost Salkin, I have the honor to present to you the Juris Doctor graduates who finished their requirements in December 2024. Having successfully completed all requirements for the degrees as prescribed by the faculty of Jacob D. Fuchsberg Law Center, they have earned the approbation of the faculty.
Pursuant to the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents of the State of New York and the trustees of Touro University, and having completed the specified requirements of said degrees, I hereby confirm the conferral of the degrees of Juris Doctor on the members of the class of 2025 who completed requirements in December of 2024.
You may be seated. Will our May and July 2025 degree candidates please rise? Provost Salkin, I have the honor to present to you the candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor. In anticipation of successful completion of all of the requirements for the degrees as prescribed by the faculty of the Jacob D. Fuchsberg Law Center, the candidates have earned the approbation of the faculty.
Pursuant to the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents of the State of New York and the trustees of Touro University, upon completion of the specified requirements for said degrees, I hereby confirm the conferral of the degrees of Juris Doctor on these candidates and members of the class of 2025. Congratulations to all of you.
At this time, I would like to call upon Roger Citron, Associate Dean for Research and Scholarship and Professor of Law, and Michelle Zachrin, Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, who will formally present the names of the recipients of and candidates for degrees.
Family and friends of our graduates, our students have worked very hard to earn the right to be here today, and you have all been part of their efforts. When your graduate's name is called, we encourage you to recognize their achievements. Do not hold your applause to the end. Show your pride and joy. Each graduate is being hooded by a member of the Touro faculty or administration, or by an attorney they have chosen. The purpose of the hooding ceremony is to pass on the mantle of the legal profession from one generation to the next. The hooding ceremony will be assisted by Class Professor John Quinn and Associate Dean for Student Services and Student Records, Heather DiPiero. And our first graduate, Amir Jafar Ali. He's being hooded by Associate Dean Myra Berman is hooding Amir. Gabrielle N. Anzalone, being hooded by her mentor, Kevin Garby, class of 2021. Joshua Ben Shimon, being hooded by Associate Dean Michelle Zachrin. Gabrielle Borakov, being hooded by Adjunct Professor Joseph Indusi. Alyssa Brigandi, being hooded by her stepmother, Kim Smith, class of 2003, and her stepsister, Nicole Smith, class of 2021. Jessica E. Brill, being hooded by Associate Dean Michelle Zachrin. Alexa G. Dante, graduating cum laude and being hooded by her mentor, Janet Cohen Sorrentino, class of 2009. Kimberly A. Davies, being hooded by Associate Dean for Student Services, Heather DiPiero. Douglas C. Feltman, being hooded by Adjunct Professor Samuel Felberbaum. Dana Rose Galatelli, being hooded by Adjunct Professor Joseph Indusi. Jacob A. Gordon, graduating cum laude, being hooded by Adjunct Professor Samuel Felberbaum. Jory V. Grisolia, being hooded by Class Professor John Quinn. Congratulations. Great speech. Seriously. Brittany Elizabeth Harms, graduating summa cum laude, being hooded by her aunt, Carrie Daly, class of 2001. Yelena Ishakova, graduating summa cum laude, being hooded by Professor Marjorie Silver. Kareen Kendall, being hooded by Associate Dean Michelle Zachrin. Stephanie Sarah Kusterbeck, being hooded by Associate Dean Myra Berman. John B. Langone, being hooded by Adjunct Professor Samuel Felberbaum. Esther Myrov, being hooded by Professor Sonata Hermes McQuillan. Shireen Ashley Morkay, being hooded by Assistant Dean Heather DiPiero. Effie Nahamiayev, being hooded by Adjunct Professor Samuel Felberbaum. Michael A. Napolitano, being hooded by Director of the Gould Law Library and Associate Professor of Law, Irene McDermott. Pierre Piazza, being hooded by Director of Neighborhood Programs and Associate Professor of Law, Jorge Roig. Antonina Pontorno, being hooded by Class Professor John Quinn. Lisa Wong Pranito, being hooded by her sister, Lily Wong. Brian M. Santana, being hooded by Assistant Dean for Career and Professional Development, Jim Montez. Christina R. Seed, being hooded by her mentor, the Honorable Shahabuddin Shah Alai. Richard Spadafora, graduating cum laude and being hooded by Associate Dean Michelle Zachrin. Casey Lee Swenson, being hooded by her grandfather, Melvin Estrin. Michael Vivanco, being hooded by Adjunct Professor Samuel Felberbaum. Tour Jacob Warso III, being hooded by his father, Tour Jacob Warso Jr., class of class of 1991. Emmanuel Yunayev, being hooded by Director of the Institute on Land Use and Sustainable Development and Professor of Law, Michael Lewin. Michael Abramowitz, being hooded by Professor Peter Zablotsky. Mark L. Alter, being hooded by his father, Mark Alter, class of 1991, and his mother, Margaret Alter. His mom's class of 1992.
Viana M. Alves, being hooded by Adjunct Professor Samuel Felberbaum. David Aminov, being hooded by Professor Peter Zablotsky. Just whisper. Donna R. Arzanipur, graduating magna cum laude, being hooded by her cousin, Deborah Shamalia, class of 2014. Sarah E. Barenberg, being hooded by her mentor, Catherine Carbonaro. Neil R. Bellinger, graduating cum laude, being hooded by his mother, Natasha Bellinger, class of 1988. Okay, I'll do my best. Sebastian E. Blatt, being hooded by VP of Academic Affairs, Provost of Graduate and Professional Divisions, and Professor of Law, Patricia E. Salkin. Anya Bogovats, being hooded by Professor Meredith Miller. But I'll take it, I'll take it. I just want to take a second to recognize the students who are graduating in absentia. Daniel Abraham, Adam Barowitz, Natalia Love, Sarah R. Smith, graduating magna cum laude, Mark Valente, and Kathleen Waite. Jacob Brooks, being hooded by Bruce K. Gould, Distinguished Professor of Law and Faculty Advisor to Touro Law Review, Rena Seplowitz.
Darby A. Burke, graduating cum laude, being hooded by Associate Dean Michelle Zachrin. Anna Calcutta, being hooded by Assistant Dean Heather DiPiero. Joseph Gian Capiello, being hooded by Director of the Veterans and Service Members' Rights Clinic, Patrick Donahue, class of 2020. Fabrizio Adrian Chamorro, being hooded by his mentor, the Honorable Linda K. Mahias Glover. Stephen Charles, being hooded by Professor Sonata McQuillan. Megan Cogan, graduating cum laude, being hooded by her sister, Shannon Cogan. Joshua Cohen, being hooded by Adjunct Professor Samuel Felberbaum. Matthew A. Cohen, being hooded by Class Professor John Quinn. Jillian Connor, being hooded by Professor Sonata McQuillan. Vivian M. Connor, being hooded by Professor Suzanne Darrow Kleinhaus. Michael Conroy, being hooded by Professor Hal Abramson. Thank you. Pradine L. Content, being hooded by Provost Patty Salkin. Brianna Cortez, being hooded by Assistant Director of Career and Professional Development and Adjunct Professor Jamie Ruiz. Connor M. Costarella, being hooded by the class professor John Quinn. Mackenzie Ray Crabb, graduating magna cum laude and being hooded by her mentor, Natasha Dasani. Catherine Cruz Hernandez, being hooded by Assistant Dean Jim Montez. Vincent Joseph Davino, being hooded by Professor Lauren Roth. Alexis P. DeSantis, being hooded by Class Professor John Quinn. Amanda M. Davino, being hooded by Professor Quinn. Good choice. Dominic J. DeLaura, being hooded by Director of the Small Business Legal Assistance Clinic, Denise Marzan Doty. Gershom Elizer, being hooded by Professor Sonata McQuillan. Jonathan Elizer, being hooded by Professor Sonata McQuillan. Mark Anthony Farrell, being hooded by his cousin, Anthony DeLiso, class of 2011. Benedetto A. Faluzzi, graduating cum laude and being hooded by his brother, Joseph Faluzzi. Janelle Ferguson, being hooded by her mentor, Jamal Jones. Thomas M. Flesher, being hooded by Professor Laura Dooley. Stephen Winfield Fouts, being hooded by class professor John Quinn. Alan Frazier III, being hooded by his mentor, Jake Butera, class of 2020. Samuel Godee, being hooded by Associate Dean Michelle Zachrin. Naya Gadari, being hooded by Professor Lauren Roth. Raquel K. Giannetti, graduating summa cum laude, being hooded by Director of the Immigrant Rights Advocacy Clinic and Assistant Clinical Professor of Law, Mauricio Nerona.
Comes to relieve you.
Oh, yes.
Brittany N. Giorgione, being hooded by Adjunct Professor Michael Boykin, class of 2011. Michael C. Goga, being hooded by Professor Sonata Hermes McQuillan. Brian E. Gomberg, being hooded by Associate Dean for Research and Scholarship and Professor of Law Roger Citron. Kevin M. Gonsalves, being hooded by Adjunct Professor Samuel Felberbaum. Matthew M. Graybow, being hooded by Adjunct Professor Samuel Felberbaum. Sydney P. Grasso, Graduating cum laude, being hooded by her mentor, Lori Blair. Fallon T. Grossman, being hooded by Professor Lauren Roth. Catherine R. Geron, being hooded by Professor Lauren Roth. Of course I do. They're gorgeous. Kamar R. Khan, being hooded by Director of the Mortgage Foreclosure and Bankruptcy Clinic and Clinical Professor of Law, Leif Rubenstein. Nicholas G. Klotchkov, being hooded by Class Professor John Quinn. Emma Louise Konchinsky, graduating cum laude, being hooded by Bruce K. Gould, Distinguished Professor of Law and Faculty Advisor to Touro Law Review, Rena Seplowitz. Abe Koplovich, being hooded by Associate Dean for Experiential Learning and Special Programs and Associate Professor of Law, Myra Berman, Class of 2005. I'm going to do my very best. I'm kidding. Kind of. Nikolaus H. Coronis, being hooded by his mentor, Gerasimos Christofatouris.
Anthony LaRocco, being hooded by Associate Dean Michelle Zachrin. Thank you. Olivia Lofaro, being hooded by Associate Dean Myra Berman. David J. Looney, being hooded by Professor Rena Seplowitz.
You're the next one. Emma Josephine Lopez Fonte, being hooded by Associate Dean for Research and Scholarship and Professor of Law, Roger Citron. John Quinn. Oh, no problem. Congratulations, Mazel. Shachar Luz, being hooded by class professor John Quinn. Michael J. Martorelli, being hooded by class professor John Quinn. Claire Elizabeth Meany, graduating magna cum laude, being hooded by Bruce K. Gould, Distinguished Professor of Law and Faculty Advisor to Touro Law Review, Rena Seplowitz. You're welcome. Congratulations. Joseph Marina, being hooded by Bruce K. Gould, Distinguished Professor of Law and Faculty Advisor to Touro Law Review, Rena Seplowitz. Alexandria R. Melendez, being hooded by her mentor Assad Jalani, class of 2024. Michelangelo Melfi, being hooded by Director of the Mortgage Foreclosure and Bankruptcy Clinic and Clinical Professor of Law, Leif Rubenstein. Paul Mercaldi, being hooded by his uncle, Robert McCaldy. Joseph C. Merlino, being hooded by his brother, David Merlino, class of 2021. Jocelyn E. Miller, being hooded by her father, Todd Miller. Christina M. Mohan, being hooded by Assistant Dean for Student Services and Records, Heather DiPiero. Edwin T. Mulhern, being hooded by Professor Peter Zablotsky. William E. Murphy, being hooded by Professor Suzanne Darrow Kleinhaus. Michael S. O'Connor, being hooded by Professor Sonata or Ms. McQuillan. Elaine O. Yang, being hooded by Associate Dean for Experiential Learning and Special Programs and Associate Professor of Law, Myra Berman, class of 2005. Teddy Anna Pangiatakos, being hooded by Professor Rena Seplowitz and mentor Samantha Davis, class of 2024. Anthony A. Paraniello, being hooded by Professor Sonata Hermes McQuillan. Shreya Patel, being hooded by Associate Dean for Campus Engagement and Associate Professor of Law, Tiffany Graham. Rihanna L. Pierre, being hooded by Assistant Dean for Student Services and Records, Heather DiPiero. Lola Marie Pyros, graduating cum laude, being hooded by Bruce K. Gould, Distinguished Professor of Law and Faculty Advisor to Touro Law Review, Rena Seplowitz. Anna Marie Ragone, graduating cum laude, being hooded by Professor Sonata Hermes McQuillan. Megan A. Ramirez, being hooded by her mentor, Renee L. Giorgini, as Esquire. Rita B. Raza, being hooded by Professor Sonata Hermes McQuillan. Alexander M. Richards, being hooded by Professor Sonata Hermes McQuillan. Noelle Marie Ross, being hooded by class professor John Quinn. Max D. Salem, being hooded by Director of the Mortgage Foreclosure and Bankruptcy Clinic and Clinical Professor of Law, Leif Rubenstein. La Rabe Server, being hooded by Director of the Immigration Rights Advocacy Clinic and Assistant Clinical Professor of Law, Mauricio Noronha. Alyssa Schlissel Goldberg, being hooded by her uncle, Bob Lehman. Max J. Schwartzapfel, being hooded by Professor Suzanne Darrow Kleinhaus. Shania Serrano, being hooded by her mother, Sandra Fernandez. Okay, thank you. Matthew Shapiro, being hooded by Associate Dean for Research and Scholarship and Professor of Law, Roger Citron. Aman Sharifi, being hooded by Adjunct Professor Samuel Felberbaum. Kayla I. Shurka, being hooded by Professor Rena Seplowitz. Rebecca Elizabeth Zenobio, graduating cum laude, being hooded by Associate Professor of Legal Process, Stephanie Giuliano. Nicole Ida Scala, being hooded by Director of the Immigration Rights Advocacy Clinic and Assistant Clinical Professor of Law, Mauricio Noronha. Stephanie Amber Sklar, being hooded by Professor Lauren Roth. Sherika B. Smith, being hooded by Professor Sonata Hermes McQuillan. Alexa D. Sandy, graduating summa cum laude, being hooded by Bruce K. Gould, Distinguished Professor of Law and Faculty Advisor to Touro Law Review, Rena Seplowitz. Anna Giselle Sorto, being hooded by her mentor, Dawn M. Fasano, Esquire. Roman Alexis Sorto, being hooded by Associate Professor of Law, Theodore Silver. Nicholas L. Spagnolo, being hooded by Associate Professor of Law, Theodore Silver. Harrison D. Stern, being hooded by his father, Assemblyman Stephen Stern. I think you start now.
Joshua R. Stickle, graduating cum laude and being hooded by class professor John Quinn. Abu Sufyan, being hooded by Associate Dean Michelle Zachrin. Brendan R. Sweeney, being hooded by Associate Dean Myra Berman. Nicole Marie Tamargo, being hooded by her mentor, Angelica Campanero. I know who you are. Cyril A. Thankachan, being hooded by his brother, Matthews Thankachan. Mariani, we're starting over. Take it again. Mariana Truhan, being hooded by Associate Professor of Legal Process, Danielle Riley. Adam N. Unger, being hooded by Associate Dean Michelle Zachrin. Bianca Rose Valentino, being hooded by Professor Suzanne Darrow Kleinhaus. Danielle E. Versteeg, graduating cum laude, being hooded by Professor Lauren Roth.
I'm back. You all know what that means. We're getting close. One moment. Good. Congratulations to you all, to Touro Law Center's class of 2025. Louder. You now become members of a group of over 7,500 graduates of Touro Law Center. I declare these commencement exercises officially concluded. Ladies and gentlemen, just give us another moment. We ask you to remain seated for just a few moments longer so that our faculty, distinguished guests, and our graduates may exit the theater in a safe and dignified manner. Graduate, faculty, administration, and please remain seated. We need the aisles clear for the graduates. Graduates, family, administration, guests will proceed to the atrium for a brief reception to permit photos with faculty, law school friends, and family. We wish you well as you go off to celebrate this grand occasion. Please, ladies and gentlemen, please clear the aisles and remain seated. Graduates, caps, hoods, and honor cords are yours to keep. Guest hooders and faculty will return your caps, gowns, and hoods to the robing room. Professor Hal Abramson will lead the distinguished guests, administration, and faculty out of the theater. And following the academic procession of faculty, the faculty marshals will lead you, graduates, out of the theater as well. Please remain seated. Music.